Davide Russo, entrepreneur, founder of Horshare.
It's not something that I was born with the idea to be an entrepreneur. Many nights upstanding because maybe you don't know if there is going to be an earthquake.
Their motto was don't argue, build.
The first words that my father tell me is we will do great things together. I think family in shaping the person are the basic. If you think that you can do everything in your life because you believe in yourself, you can do it.
If you're not strong in a way, if you don't have that internal stamina, it can eat you alive.
So this is why we came up with platform, because one of the boundaries that Horshare can surpass is the community. At the beginning, I only knew that the horses, they just running somehow and they win somehow. Don't want to do something extraordinary. I just want to live my life. It's okay to be in your comfort zone, but if everybody was like this, the world wouldn't change. It's important for some people to make some changes in the world.
Hello everyone, welcome back to On Human Journey, and today I'm very excited to introduce you my guest, Davide Russo.
Hi.
Who's a good friend, entrepreneur, founder of Horshare, a platform where you can buy, a digital platform where you can buy and sell shares of horses, and a person with a very interesting story to tell today. So welcome, Davide.
Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you to invite me here. So it's a pleasure again. So yes.
Great. So let's start with who you are. What do you think our audience needs to know about who you are? What is your journey? How did you come all the way to becoming a founder of a startup, to taking on the responsibility of having your own venture, and eventually, growing to become an entrepreneur and to start many different things?
I think it's a long story and a long trip, let's say, for now long. So probably everything started because my father is an entrepreneur, so it's in the blood maybe. But everything began once I was a child. We used to live there in North Africa, and then I had my education there, and also in Spain, in America, and all around the world, let's say. I did management engineering, actually not because I was sure to be an entrepreneur, but because I was a bit lost in my life. I didn't know what I should do on my life, and so I thought that the best thing was to do the management engineer, because management can be, you can do a lot of things. So it was a bit general to start your life and to see meanwhile what you want to do. So it's not something that I was born with the idea to be an entrepreneur. Actually, once I finished my degree, I started to be an advisor in Deloitte for a couple of years, and actually during these years I knew that I didn't want to be an advisor, but I wanted to be an entrepreneur, because all my life I always knew that I had a lot of ideas, a lot of projects actually that can change the world. That's actually what I wanted to do in all my life. I knew that I wanted to change the world somehow, leave my path somehow. So once I started in Deloitte, I started to understand that I wanted to do entrepreneurship, because other careers didn't let me change the world on the side, on the growth, on the dimension that I wanted to. But entrepreneurship, yes, because you can actually do some project that can change maybe a couple of persons, but also the whole planet. So you can actually do a lot of stuff.
But so you work in Italy, but your upbringing in Northern Africa, it was Algeria.
Yes, exactly.
How do you think it shaped you? Because you spent quite a few years there, and your first your first society surroundings were so different from where you are now?
Absolutely. I think it's the key of my thoughts, of my mindset, because actually Algeria now is really a good place. I have been there back a few years ago, and actually it changed a lot. There is the metropolitan, there is some supermarkets, some, let's say, buildings that maybe 10 years ago it would be like a dream to be there. So actually there, the place 10 years ago, 20 years ago, once I was there, because I lived for 10 years there, it was really different. A lot of poorness, and in general a lot of terrorism, earthquakes, and so. So I think it shaped me a lot, because I saw a different culture from ours, and people are really different, and I knew that I needed to do something for not only them, but for everybody that can be in that kind of situation, because earthquake, for example, it leave a lot of bad things, let's say. So
it also makes you live in some kind of sense of uncertainty, right?
Absolutely. Many nights upstanding, because maybe you don't know if there is going to be a earthquake, and you have to wake up really quickly and go to outside the house, because many houses in the 2003 there was a big earthquake, and many houses went down, so it was really scaring for that side. So to see this kind of situation, it's really important for my in general my growth. And it's not the only one. Once I start working for my family, they send me to Kenya, Ethiopia, and so, and there I saw a lot of situation that can be actually maybe worse than this. So I saw that there is many situations that maybe people can help with some projects from entrepreneurship, and to invent some, let's say, project, some key turn project to help people actually.
I think sometimes it's easier to get started when you live in that sense of like everything's wrecked and unstable, and you just collect it bits by bits. You don't have really high expectations of anything, but you operate in the moment. It's probably more difficult to scale, but I think, at least for me, like growing up in Ukraine, we would see, we would try so many things because like everybody's trying, and you just want to create something better, something more beautiful, when everything around you is like grim and a bit of holding on like one leg.
I agree. Maybe the person that grew up with everything is fine, everything is good, you don't need to change anything, it's leave you more let's say tranquillo, sorry guys. Calm, yes. Yeah. You're more calm in don't do anything to change the world. And actually, as you said, if you live in a place where you see that there is many things to understand, to change, you're more into this kind of changes. So yes, absolutely. And I think also that people that live this kind of situation, maybe sometimes somehow they're into the, okay, I just live day by day and don't do any changes. But actually, if you want to change the situation, you have to take a stable point of starting, and then from there you can start building something.
Yeah. I was once one of my first jobs was helping to a group of people coming from all over the world that were advocating for ideas of startup societies. And their motto was, don't argue, build. So it's like when you don't like what's around you, when you're not happy with the circumstances, I don't know, like from the small things, when you're not happy with how some horse ownership works in Italy,
Yes.
Instead of arguing and saying it's all bad, it's all wrong, you just go and build it, and you bring people around you to help you build it and make it better.
Absolutely. I agree 100% because actually once I started this project of Horshare, many person thanks to me to start doing something like this because a lot of persons started to be worried about the situation in Italy of the horse ownership because it's a market that in Italy there is a lack of transparency and a lot of bureaucracy and many boundaries that the market can have. So when I started this project, I was happy, they was happy, and we all was happy because it's something that actually can change the market. So I'm really happy to do this project.
I'm gonna get to Horshare in a little bit, but I want to kind of come back to your time in Northern Africa and your family actually, because you have a brother, you have two sisters, and is the whole family so entrepreneurial, or it's more just like something that you and your father share?
We actually I will explain you why we were in North Africa because it's I guess from Italian people it's not used to be a normal situation to be in North Africa, and it's because my father is an entrepreneur and one of his company they do a turnkey project to grow up develop countries that are in development state. Yes.
Yeah.
So we were there because Algeria was one of the top 10 countries in development stage, and we do turnkey to help like building schools. Like the 75% of the schools in Algeria, we did it. So I'm really proud of the work that we do. And in family, actually, yes, it's something that it's common with my brother and my sisters. Maybe because my father grew up like this, I always remember the first words that my father tell me. It's we will do great things together. So I think family in shaping the person are the basic. This is the basic, yeah.
And also kind of giving your children, your kids, the belief that anything is possible, that you don't have to be confined to one sector or the other. A lot of times in family, they're like, we are lawyers, so you gotta be a lawyer. Did you have that freedom to choose which path you wanted to take?
Yes, absolutely. My father have this kind of education that is really great, but a lot of a bit hard actually, because it gives you the whole possibility to do everything, because actually it's the mindset that shape you. So if you think that you can do everything in your life because you believe in yourself, you can do it. But actually, if you don't have this mindset and you say, okay, I just have to do this because I can do just this, you'll be able to do just this. So actually, it's really important, the education of the mindset that your father or mother give it to you. So yes, absolutely.
Did he take you on the construction projects when you guys were in Algeria? Like, what was your childhood like there, working with your dad?
So I was always in the company helping somehow. I always did some kind of little works that can be actually in the magazine, no? In the
In italiano.
magazzino.
So in the shop, huh?
Storage, yes, in the storage. Thank you. In the storage, helping to put everything together, to send it to the country or other countries. Or actually, when I grew up, when I was 14, I started to do other kind of work like gardening or waiter or everything that can be possible. I started doing it because it's really important to, have your started to work to do everything that you can do just to understand better the world, the persons. Everything can be a lesson, let's say. So yes.
That's impressive, So
Thank you.
you traveled around the world. You were like constantly hands-on experience with your family. And when did you feel like you were kind of stepping away in your own path? Was it when you went to the States?
Yes, actually, you said it right because I was always with my family until I was 16, 17. We were pretty independent, me and my brothers, but once I was in the States, I was alone, and this is a big experience that I think everybody should have because it gives you the responsibility to be alone. You're on your own. You can actually ask for help, but in 1 year, if you can stand alone, you know that you can do it. So you believe more in yourself, and it's really important in my mindset to know that I was alone at 16 and I was okay. So from there, I started to be a lot more independent. Actually, on my studies, I went to Spain for 3 years, always alone, and from there I started to be really independent, and it was really interesting to understand these things about myself because when you are alone, you know that you have to do stuff to work, to live, to understand better the world because you can always ask for help, but if you know that you can do it alone, you will have this you will be sure that you can do it by yourself. So,
and especially in the US, it's like such different environment from Europe, from Africa, and I feel like US is very demanding. So if you're not strong in a way, if you don't have that internal stamina, it can eat you alive, especially when you're so young.
Absolutely. Actually, I wasn't the only one who should have gone to the States. Many of my classmates, they said they wanted to go, but actually never went because they was scared of leaving the family, leaving the comfort zone. So actually, that year I was the only one to go to the States. And
so where were you in the US?
Detroit.
Yes. It's also a dangerous city.
Yes, I mean I wasn't in the down in the center of Detroit, but still it's a great city. It's a great city. It have his own culture, and same thing in Spain. In Spain also many people asked to do the Erasmus, but at the end we were like in 3 person to go. One in Spain, one in Japan, and the other in the States. So it's something that you have to to launch yourself into it because not everybody can actually leave the comfort zone and go somewhere else and start to do a new experience.
Yeah, it's difficult. You have to kind of also be open up to people, to open up to yourself. Sometimes.
Yes, it's also a question of courage because I think the person that didn't leave actually the comfort zone, it's about the courage and the fact that they didn't really, believe themselves to be able to live alone in a different city, to know new people, to do new stuff that they don't do here.
I like it. I like how you present it. That you have to believe in yourself that you can do it.
This is all about. I think people are able to do everything in their life. The matter is to believe in it. Actually, all the things that I did, it's all about believing in the project that I did. Because without them, without this mindset, I would have lost everything. Because you don't launch yourself into this kind of project and things without this courage. And the other side, it's the resiliency. If you don't, the thing is, you can launch yourself, and it could be courage or stupidity. You just launch yourself. It's okay. It's fine. You can do it. But once you're into the project, into some situation, it's the resiliency that actually leave you there and still do the work. Because without the resiliency and the discipline to start and keep going, you actually just will drop the thing and go back to the comfort zone.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say that the most difficult thing is to start, because there are also moments when I'm thinking even about myself, and I can think about getting on with a big change for so long. So for me, sometimes the most difficult is to get started. But then lately, I've realized that, you also have to keep going, especially if there is more hardships, if the problems get bigger, if uncertainty gets stronger, will I be able to deal with it or not? And I feel like when you were talking about your work in Deloitte, which is great, I'm constantly in between. Should I keep pursuing having your own business, running your own business, or should I just quit it, let it go, and go into management consulting and be very comfortable in a firm like Deloitte, McKinsey, etc.? Because it's still hard. It still takes long hours. It still takes to be better than others to keep going. So it's not like these are super easy ventures as well. But then it's like how much resilience you have to keep pushing through the waves and waves and waves of stuff.
Exactly. Actually, yes, it's a choice. Many persons prefer the comfort zone, others to launch themselves in projects and keep going with the resilience and discipline. But at the end, it's just a choice that people does. So actually, there is a quote that I would like to share with you with this kind of situation when you're thinking these kind of things. And it's a quote of my father. And he always say to me, many people actually can start something. Somebody can actually do stuff, so they can actually, there is a start situation. You start doing the stuff. Well, wait, I will give it to you back because it's not. So the quote is, many people can actually start something. Somebody can actually do the work, and just a few person can actually make the work done. So this is the 3 steps in your life, in the project, in any kind of situation. You always start, do, and finish. And this is something that I repeat myself when I have some thoughts that are really not into my resiliency mindset. That it's only a few person that can actually make the work done. And it's really important to be one of them, because this makes you a great executive about the projects.
Yeah, I love this quote. I think it's very true. It's like, you have to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations with yourself and be very honest with yourself. Am I ready to deal with everything, or I value more something else? So this brings us to entrepreneurship. But Horshare is not the first venture you started. So there was something else before, which is very interesting, and I would love to learn more about it.
Thank you. Yes, actually, it wasn't my first one, and I hope it's not going to be the last one. So once I was in Deloitte, and I knew that I didn't want to be an advisor for the rest of my life, but I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I chose my path, actually, pretty sure about it. And in the same period that I was choosing this path, I was doing a project for Milan for the traffic actually, and I was starting to building something, but it was a really big project, and for the first one it would have been pretty difficult to make it done. But with some luck and maybe destiny, some friend of mine actually called me and said, we know that you're really good with numbers, and actually we had an idea for the fashion world, the fashion market. So we would like to be to do a company together. So we started this kind of project that is called Grain. And it was really interesting because actually the fashion world, the fashion market has these, let's say, boundaries of fast fashion, of authentication of the cloth. So we thought that maybe the technology of nowadays could help this market. So we came up with an idea of putting an RFID, which is like a microchip, into the cloth.
Mm-hmm.
Is it correct? The cloth?
Okay. Garment.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And with this microchip, you actually knew that this garment was was of this person, and actually has this cycle of life, which is really important because nowadays, for example, after 6 months of work on this project, the European Commission put a law of the digital product passport. That means that after 1 year, all the fashion market in Europe should have a digital product passport. And we came up with the idea 6 months before the law came out. So I was really proud of it, and it was really a great project. So we started to work in this project. It was really great, difficult because we were alone, 3 friends working really hard in this project. From this experience, I learned a big lesson, which is not to have many members, many co-founders, because once you started, if there is some problems, we start, having some arguments and so. And if you're alone, you can argument with yourself and actually have your decision and take it. So this was really important.
Yes, I remember we talked about this some time ago, and you said that even 2 founders is one too many.
Exactly. This is a big quote.
But on the other hand, don't you think that's by working with other people, you have more support? I mean, if you manage to overcome the arguments, then you can have each other's back, then you can have, you can rely on someone else in the days when you are not 100% there.
Absolutely, yes. It's not something that it's a must. You don't have just to be alone. But I think if you have some partners, you have to be really, really sure and certain about the responsibilities. Because if you are, for example, the 3 of us, no? And everything, do a bit of that, the work have to be done. So a bit of this, a bit of that. But if you don't have each one of them a responsibility, you start argument. Because at the end, if we are the 2 of us, the 3 of us, and we start, no, you have to do it, no, I have to do it. Oh, this is a big problem. You make it. No, actually, it's a company. So even if you make it, the problem is ours. So we have to find a solution together, and yes, to help each other. But actually, it's a choice. At the end, it's a choice. You can be alone, or you can have many partners. It's all about the choice.
I agree. I think the most important thing is a choice. If you choose to do a venture together, and if your end goal is the success of the venture, then you have to choose to sometimes put down the differences. But I do see, and I also had it in my experience, when you want to start something with others, but then at some point you're like, doesn't feel like it can work out. And probably in that moment, it's better to stop, to take it as not as a loss, but as an experience. I've learned something from it. I've learned that I need to be like 100% leader, or I need to maybe have like just one partner. And I think all of this kind of helps you understand what kind of founder you are, right? What kind of entrepreneur you are. Because there are also successful examples. I was just reading this summer the book from Bill Gates, the source code, and I loved that he kept his business partner, Paul Allen, that they've been working together for so many years. And one thing that actually he regrets in the book is that he didn't give more share to Paul, that they didn't have that equal share of ownership in Microsoft. So this is completely the opposite example of, those who are like, no, I need to be 100%. But that's fine, because we're also not all the same people.
Yes, absolutely. As I said, it's a choice, and it's a question of responsibility. If you are two partners, 3, 10, you can do it. But since the beginning, you have to say, this is my job, I have to do it, this is yours, and you have to do it. Because if there is starting to have some high and low period, you start having some argument. And at the end, I was like 21 and I was young. So when I started argument with them and they started argument with me, there was high and low period. And so I wasn't so... let's say, grow up to say, guys, we need responsibility. So I will do this, you will do this, and this is always a choice. So actually, from that experience, I learned that for my kind of situation of mindset. So yes, it was a question of a choice, and I choose to leave actually the table, because as an entrepreneur, I think you have to understand when it's time to leave the table or to keep going to work and play. So
Yeah.
At the end, I choose that.
Also, 21 is so young.
Yes, yes, it was pretty young, but it was a really an interesting idea. So I couldn't say no. I had to say yes, because I knew that my path was in that way. It's a feeling. So fortunately, luckily, once I decided this. There was a person to introduce me the horse sector. So he heard about us, about our application of tech in this fashion world, and it was really innovative. So he heard about us, and he asked us to look up to the horse sector, because the horse sector actually was really an old school sector, is still an old school sector. It has a lot of boundaries. It's not in nowadays technology path. It's like to be there in the 80s when you still have to know the person in live person, to write the documents, to have your lawyer, to also to put a lot of money to have like just a quote or a horse. So it's really like I used to call it like a virgin market, because it's a market that there is a really big and has a lot of opportunities, and there is no tech side. So to put some tech into a market that isn't digitalized yet, which is really rare nowadays, it's really interesting, because you can actually do everything. You have a lot of opportunities. The important is to start somehow, as we said before, like a stable data, a stable point, to start there, and then a long path can go everywhere. So we came up with the idea of Horshare, which is a platform that actually pointed to digitalize everything in the horse market, everything. So it was a really big project, really big. I was lost at the beginning, because I wanted to do the eToro of horses. I wanted to do everything that can be in the horse market now. it could be digitalized.
Mm-hmm.
So actually I went to the lawyer and I said, I want to do this project. It's really interesting, and he was really, really interested about it. But he told me, look, if you want to do this kind of project with this growth and dimension, you have to put like a lot of money, a lot of time. We maybe came up with in 2 years, and we will spend a lot of money with certification, development, and so. So I started to do. I didn't say alone, but I started to take off some feature of the platform to
From the previous platform that you did.
With Grain, you said? No. Grain was like a closed project for me. I left the table, and then it had decided to never go back. And I started this project alone. I went to the lawyer. I told this. He told me that. And I decided to not start actually with a lot of capital, because actually it's a virgin market. If you put a new idea, you don't know actually if the market actually will say yes or no, because actually I can say it's a good idea, you can say it's a good idea, but at the end it's the client, the last client, the market that say it's a good idea. So I didn't have the possibility to invest a lot of amount of money into this project. So what I said, it's okay, let's take as always a stable point, like the selling of quotes of horses, which is just one of the big features of Horshare, and we will start from there. We will build a platform that actually can do this. And from there, we will build Horshare, which is a really big project. It's not just selling the quotes and buy quotes of horses. It can do a lot of more things that actually are not.
Okay, let's explain what is selling quotes of horses.
Okay, true. So actually, a horse can be really, really expensive. It can be like $5,000 or maybe a few millions of dollars.
What determines this price?
A lot of things. The pedigree, so the blood, the physique, the training. There is a lot of characteristic that actually can change the price of the horse. What's the quote? Actually, if I don't have the amount of money to buy an entire horse, or I just don't want all the responsibility or the management of the horse, I decided to buy it with you. We do this kind of, let's say, it's an association, a syndicate, it's called. And we do a syndicate, so it's like a company that I have the 50%, you have the 50%, we put the 50% of the amount of money, and we buy together a horse.
So it's not like I like the tail and I want to take it.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
It's a 50% of a horse, of the responsibility, of the management, of the whole horse. It's not all about the physique, actually, because if the horse gains some career, you will have the 50% of the price. And it's really interesting because the prices can actually be really, really big.
So we don't have to like find a place where we need to bring in the horse, like to build stables, to look after the horse every day, cure, feeding.
Actually, if we are in the syndicates, we have to find a stable where to put them. But actually, you can actually give it to a person that will manage it all. So he will put it in the stable, he will do this career and the others. Actually, because many people, like owners, actually they know something about horses, but other kind of owners, they don't know it.
Yeah.
I'm just a big investor, I have a lot of money, I just want to invest. I will just buy a stable or a horse, and I don't know anything about horses. So actually, it was my kind of situation at the beginning. I'm not into the horse sector.
So when that person approached you, you were like, wow, this is a whole new world.
Yes, absolutely. Like fashion also, it was like this. Horses, it's like this. I mean,
But look at this fashion, at least I think you're more exposed to it. You're more aware, especially living in Italy. It's something that it's like, it's not completely unknown world. I feel like with horses, it's a bit of, it's like, it's another world, at least for me, until we went to see the race. I knew nearly nothing how the whole thing works. So I feel like a lot of people who might want to, get into something new like art or horse racing horses, they need a lot of education as well, because you are like, that's a roadblock to enter.
Absolutely. It's a boundary, one of the boundaries that once I was analyzing the market to do the business plan, to understand better what we have to do, it was one of the boundaries. So this is why we came up with the platform, because one of the boundaries that Horshare can actually can surpass, can go on, it's the community, because in the Horshare we are trying to build a big community, international community, that actually you can know new people easily. You don't have to be friend of the friend. You just it's like the social media, you just go into it and know new persons. And it's really interesting, because the three big boundaries that I saw in this market was actually, yes, the network, because to buy a quote of a horse or the entire horse, you have to know somehow anybody, like the agent, manager, or the owner, to be one, let's say, a friend, to knowing each other. So it's a bit a boundary, because if you think about selling some cars, for example, you just go to www, I want to sell a car, and you just buy it. You don't have to know really well the owner of the car to buy it. The other
No, go ahead.
The other boundary was the amount of money, because actually the amount of money, it has to be pretty big, like as I said before, thousands or millions. But actually with the smart contract, we can automate the contract and put some quotes also at $100. So a person, for example, that started at 18, so at 18 I'm really curious about the horse sector, but I can't go in, because I don't have the amount of money that can make me able to go in. So why should I go to Horshare and started to buy one quote and see how it's going, how it's working, to understand and learning stuff. So this is
so it's not like I need to know someone else and together we go on Horshare because we want to do it together. It's like, even if I don't know anyone else who's interested in racing horses, I'm just gonna find the co-owners there.
Exactly. It's just about launching yourself into this interest that you have. You're interested in the horse sector, but you can't actually nowadays with Horshare. Now it's possible, because you just subscribe and you will know new co-owners, new horses, just started to buy some quotes or the others, understand how it's working, how you're learning, and so. Because actually the third boundary is the bureaucracy. Now, for example, if you want to buy actually the horse, you have to take a lawyer, do the contracts. Somehow it's a bit losing yourself, into it. So what we do with Horshare, it's actually you have a standard contract with the digital firm, the digital signature, and you just, with some clicks, buy a horse, which is really interesting, because actually the whole boundaries that the horse sector now have with Horshare, we don't have it, and it's really, really interesting, because the market is really big. We are talking about trillions and trillions, and with Horshare we are opening the pool of client even more, because the person that we are losing because they are 18 and they can't do some stuff because of the boundaries. Now they can do it. So we are increasing actually the market.
Where is the biggest horse market? I mean, we're talking Europe, Italy, France, or are we talking Middle East?
Actually, I thought at the beginning that it was in Europe, but it's not actually only Europe. I mean, the big pool are France and UK. Actually, it's pretty logic thinking about the history of the countries, but they are not the only one. In the States, it's really, really big. Hong Kong, it's really big. Japan, it's really, really interesting. Australia, all around the world, it's the market is increasing incredibly with a CAGR of 8% per year. So every year, the 8% is always increasing, increasing, and increasing. Only in Italy and a few countries is decreasing because due to the bureaucracy, many persons don't want to go in, so they're not interested anymore. So this is why Horshare is there, because we want also that in Italy, the trend of the market change and start increasing, following the rest of the world.
Wow. Did you know all of this before you got into it?
No, absolutely.
So it was a pleasant surprise.
Absolutely, absolutely. At the beginning, I only knew that the horses have they just running somehow and they win somehow, and that's it. It was really, really difficult for me to start. So this is also a feature. I mean, I don't know anything about horses. I want to go in to start something. But it's difficult because I don't know anybody. I didn't know anything about horses, but I was really interested. So I said, okay, I am a best case. I am a study case about this thing. So this is why Horshare, we are developing actually the Horshare Academy, where some person that are interested but they don't know anything about it, we will upgrade some videos explaining how it's working, how the market is working, how you can buy a quote, how you can buy a horse, how what you can do once you are in the stadium, in the hippodrome, and so everything that can actually be helpful for the person to start the journey in the horse sector, we will put it to help them. So it can be really, really interesting for the person who are starting, but also we want to put some new levels to the people that are actually really expertise in this sector. So we want to do an academy to help people to grow up in this sector.
I love this. I really like how you're presenting yourself as a case study of your own business. It's wonderful, I feel like a lot of times when you want to start something and you know nothing about it, that's when you get stopped, because you're like, I have the imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to even do it if I know nothing about it? Like, the prejudice is that you need years and years of experience in order to get started. But no, in reality, you need to have a great idea and bravery and some belief that, you can do it. And also, you're not really a tech person, right? So you're not the developer of the platform behind it, but your projects are tech related. So how did you tap into the tech world? Was it because of your studies, or was it something that just inspires you?
So actually, I wanted to say that this is where discipline and resiliency came. So because if you go into a project and you find a boundary, and so the 90% of the person usually say, no, I don't want to go ahead because there is a lot of boundaries. But with the resilience and discipline, you take out the first boundary, the second one, and you keep going and keep going. And for the tech part, I always really been interested in the tech part. Once I was really young, I really like everything that was related to the tech. So I am interested into it, but I am not an expertise. I am not a developer. I didn't study computer science. I know something, but I'm not a an expertise. So yes, I'm more like a project manager. So I coordinate the legal part, the tech part. We developed this platform with the Polytechnic of Milan, which is one of the best university about computer science. So I'm pretty happy about it. So it's more my role. It's more about to coordinate the whole team. Came up with ideas, the roadmap, and to coordinate, because at the end, as I said, it's a stable point to start with the selling and buying quotes of horses, but the path is really long. Now we are starting to develop this second version of Horshare, where people can actually start some crowdfunding, which is really, really interesting because
Crowdfunding.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Because, for example, now young stables, young people who want to actually start a stable or a project in the horse market, maybe they don't have the potential amount of money to buy horses, to buy stuff, to start this project. But if people believe in them, they actually can, for example, open a crowdfunding and starting to be financed by the person who believe in them. And this is really, really interesting, because still we open a pool of client in the horse market, and actually we can grow up the market still a lot. So this is really interesting. And it's not the only thing, because actually Horshare has a lot of roadmap in front. We started with this stable point, but we will go ahead with a long way of features. So the other feature, it's the way that people invest in horses. Because for example, now if I invest in one horse, I am sure that he can win, or he can lose, and then I will lose everything, because a horse can actually get hurt, and they can't keep going with the career. So it's it's like a betting thing, because I bet on the horse that he will go ahead with his career and really go really good. But actually, one of the tech side of Horshare, it's that it's possible to buy not one horses, but to buy at the same time many quotes of many horses.
Mm-hmm.
So your risk is slowing down, because maybe you don't have the same amount of shares of that horse, but you know that one of them can win more than the others. And if some horses can get hurt and they will not keep with their career, you have still the others. So as I said, there is a lot of tech things that in the horse market.
And there is a lot of opportunity to develop the data science behind it, and the analysis methods, for people to come on the platform and see like what are the likelihoods.
Absolutely. Actually, thank you to say this, because it's really interesting to understand that people nowadays, they woke up at 4, at 5 to train their horses. They put in the charcoal, the training routine, and what they eat, what they do, and so. And this is data. For us, it's data. And I understand that it's not something that is in the mindset of people, because they think just to train the horse and to go ahead with their training, which is really good and nice. But if you are like younger and you know stuff about the data, you know that any kind of things are data. So instead of putting this in charcoal and putting it in an iPad or in a platform somehow, this is data, and we can actually analyze big data to understand how the horse is going, to predict actually how he's going. The horse like this food or the others, or maybe he prefers this kind of training of the others. It's better to stress him when it's young or when it's older, because many horses actually, if you train it a lot at the beginning, you ruin it. So it's better to train them when it's older. So these all things are done on a Horshare.
What is the lifespan of a horse?
Depending of a horse, there is let's say the career are into 3-4 years, but actually there is horses who can live 30 years. Like for example, last year we went to see Varenne. Thank you. The last year we went to see Varenne, which is a legend in the horse sector, and he's 30 years old, and every day he has his own therapy, his own like routine, which is really good, and still produce money because with his sons, he has millions of sons because this is a really good pedigree. It's a bloodline, really interesting. So they keep reproducing him, and it's depending a lot of the bloodline.
Wow, impressive. What about you? Are you planning to own one horse or many small horses? Many small pieces of different horses, not many small horses.
Actually, I want to do both of them. I would like to buy an entire horse, maybe a stable, maybe a Horshare stable, branded. But actually, some quotes, absolutely yes. I have to check because maybe I can do it. I can do it because it's maybe like manipulating the market because maybe with some data I know stuff that I shouldn't know to be a client of myself. So I should check with my lawyer if I can do it. But if I could, I would love it too because it's really interesting to own a share of a horse because at the end you're an owner. You see the horse, you can go to see it training, to see it running, and if it's win, it's like a real emotion. I went to many careers and it was really crazy. The mood of the persons are really there is a lot of emotion going on. People standing up. It's really, really interesting and it's really emotional.
Yeah, it's it sounds super inspiring. I think we need to kind of bring the horse racing market into the masses because now after the Netflix documentary everybody is a fan of Formula 1. Now we need to have a Horshare documentary for everyone to be a fan of racing horses.
I hope so. I hope so to do it because I think the market it's really big, but his potential increase it's even more bigger.
Yeah. But you start step by step, so you're not jumping all into everything, and you start with one, and then once one aspect of Horshare is established, then you go on the second, and then the second. Up, which I think is really sensible and is really important to remember that, if you just put all your resources in so many different buckets, then none of them will really have enough to
absolutely
to work.
I agree because it's really important for us to give the best service that we can offer and that the Horshare members are really happy about it because I want to be proud of my project and that people actually that are members on Horshare are proud to be members of Horshare because at the end if you do anything that could be like a project, like a company or just doing laundries, you're doing this stuff. So there is a signature on the work that you do. So if I put my signature on something, I want to be that something is the best thing that I can do.
Amazing. And what about your dad? So when he found out that you wanted to do Horshare, what was his reaction? How involved is he? Because from our conversation, I'm understanding that he's been really your companion in many projects from day one. But what's his role in Horshare?
So at the beginning, he didn't want it to be a partner of it because actually he's not into the sector. He didn't know a sector, and it's not like me that launched himself in the black, So he decided to not be a partner at the beginning because he's not just in the sector. So this is why. But once I started to grow up, started to do things to let people know about Horshare and the people to talk about Horshare, he understood the potential of Horshare and he started to be interesting about it, to be really interested about it, and at the end he wanted to be partner of it. So now we are developing Horshare with this holding that we have in the family, which is MR Group, and we are like incubator of startups. So it's Horshare now, it's one of the startups of MR Group. So now he's really interested and really proud of the project because he knows that it has a lot of potential.
It's amazing. So, what about the rest of your family? Are they starting their own ventures, or everybody has their own path?
So, in somehow, everybody is committed. Has committed is committed to keep going with the family group, and we somehow help everything to grow up the group. But in the other hand, everybody is trying to open up some startups or do his own path. But it's just, let's say, to challenge yourself, because it's easy to follow a path that it's already done for you. So maybe my brothers are like me, just trying to build your own path to understand that you can do it without the already done path, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's do like a little bit of knowledge sharing. What would be your 3 top advice to people who want to start their own things, but might not have, the support from their family or from their friends or from investors? What would you recommend to those who have an idea?
Okay, so 3 things. I guess it will be the first one, to have the good idea, because not everybody has this creative mindfulness of creating new ideas, because actually it's a feature of people to have new ideas, to be creative. Not everybody has it. There is people who are more logic and just following the steps, following the stuff. Creativity, it's one of the features that it's really important to have it. The second should be the knowledge, because even if you have a good idea, understanding and knowing that it's a good idea, you can do it, analyzing the world, analyzing the market, analyzing everything about it to understand if it's a good idea or not. It's really important, because maybe it's a good idea for you, but it's not for me or the market, which is the last call selector of good ideas. So this is the best thing to know. The third one, it's resiliency and discipline, because at the end, if you have a good idea, you can keep going. If you have knowledge, you can keep going because you're working on it, no? And at the end, it's the resiliency and discipline who work up everything, because you start doing things, it's a good idea, you're working, it's going on, but you will find boundaries, you will find this, you will find stuff that will make you thinking, am I doing the good thing, or should I leave and just go back to my comfort zone? And then it came up the resiliency. You have to keep going and knowing that you can do it, and this is a good idea, and it will come up fantastically. So this is the third thing. And if you have these 3 things, I think you will have your work done.
That's beautiful. That's Thank beautiful. I see a very, structured approach to this. You first have to do your homework, and then, you have to show up every day.
Yeah, I think it's the experience, because I did a lot of errors in my life, but I think every errors came up with a lesson. And at the end of life, you will be really, a lot of lessons, because it's important to do the errors and to stand up and keep going.
Yeah, I love this. I believe that nothing is really like a mistake. It's a good lesson. It's lesson of what didn't work out, what worked out, what could have been done better. So, because if we just keep thinking about everything as mistakes, we will lose complete faith in ourselves, in my opinion.
Exactly. No, I agree. It's have to be a good equilibrium between many errors to learn, but not too many to, not be down in your tone.
Yeah. So what is next for you and for Horshare?
So now we had a lot of eyes on us. Many people are interested. Once we opened, we had 40,000 of viewers on the website. Many people are interested. They wrote us. It's really we have a lot of lights on ourselves. So now we will put the first horses by the end of the week. We will start to do this, let's say, this first service, this first feature. At the same time, we are developing the second phase, the second version of Horshare, and by the end of the year, let's say, we will always put a new feature. Like this, we will give the client what they want, because at the end I'm not doing something that it's new or that I want. I'm just following what the market want us to do, because this is the important thing, that we follow what they want us, they need it. If I need something and I give the service, it's important for me to give what you want, because if I give something that I want and you don't want, you will not buy from us. So it's important to follow the market, and this is what we are doing. I hope that every 3 months we come up with a new feature, and we will, let's say, keep an eye on the quality of every feature every year, every month, every day, because this is really important for us.
Yeah, and for you, you said that you hope that Horshare is not the last. So, do you already have some plans, ideas in which sectors you would like to tap into?
So yes, I am sure that Horshare will take me a few years of attentions, because it's like a baby and I need to give it as much attention as I can, at least for 4 years, maybe 5. But I know that it's not the only things that I want to do, because I have a lot of projects and they're all related to leave a positive change in the world, probably something in human side, and green energy maybe. So yes, I have a lot of projects, but for the moment I want to concentrate on Horshare, and at the end of the path I will probably choose another project and to follow a new baby, let's say.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that you're trying to work, for the good of the world. There's not that many people who are really caring about things that are bigger than them.
Yeah, I think it's really good, and as much person are in this world that want to leave a positive change in the world, better it is, because it's easy to say just I just live my life, I follow a path, I don't want to do something extraordinary. I just want to live my life. It's okay. It's okay to be in your comfort zone. But if everybody was like this, the world wouldn't change. We would still be in the playing with fire. So it's important for some people to make some changes in the world.
Thank you, Davide. It was such a wonderful conversation. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to talk, and it was really great. Thank you again.
Thank you. So next episode of On Human Journey with Horshare will be at the range, and we will be meeting horses.
With pleasure.
Yeah, so that we get out of the office room and then we go to the nature and explore it the second time.
With pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.